Hi, it's Susan here from craftingchaos.co.uk. As you can tell from the title, which is Life in Chaos instead of Crafting Chaos, and all about my battle with bipolar disorder, this video is going to be completely different to anything that I've recorded in the past. Not only am I not going to be doing any crafting in it, but I also look like a complete mess. I originally recorded this video about 4 months ago, and I had my makeup done, I had my hair done and everything, and I was sitting there telling you about what depression's like, and I thought, that's like a false representation, really. I mean, people do have depression, I did myself, and put on a mask and a face and pretend that nothing's wrong for anyone and no one would tell. But depression also has this side of it, where you haven't brushed your hair, you haven't brushed your teeth, your skin is covered in spots, you can't be bothered to do anything. I haven't been dressed today, it's currently 8 o'clock at night, and all you want to do is just, I don't know, just lie and watch the world stop, basically. So I wanted to give you a view of what it's actually like, and to be honest, I worry a lot about my appearance. So doing this means that it takes away that self-consciousness and that fear, because if you see me like this and you still tolerate watching me, then you must be insane as like me. But yeah, so this video is going to be all about my bipolar disorder and telling you a bit about it. So there's 4 reasons that I've made this. Firstly is, as I said, I've been missing in action for quite a while on the website. I just wanted you to know that I hadn't forgotten about it, I hadn't moved on. It's just that I mentally haven't been capable of doing anything till now. I am better now, well, not better, but I'm doing better than I was now, so I'm going to start recording stuff and getting it up. The secondly is to educate people on mental health issues. I've actually had people with a variety of responses when I've told them about my condition, because a lot of people don't understand. In the media, we're portrayed as being serial killers, or just general nut jobs. There's a lot of functioning people that have bipolar disorder. People also mix having a mental health condition with intelligence. You can be really intelligent and still have a mental health issue. So I just wanted to educate people about like the symptoms and things, and know what to look for and how you can support someone that is going through a tough time, with whether it be with bipolar, depression or schizophrenia or anything like that. Understanding and education is the key to tackling mental health as far as I'm concerned. And then the third one is to offer help to anyone that needs it. I'm going to include the telephone number for Samaritans at the end, and just to show someone that's there at the depths of despair, there is a way out and you can get better. One day you'll be glad that you survived, and I can promise you of that. And then the fourth one is just for people understanding me a bit more, because I do have some quirks and eccentricities. So by watching this, I hope that people will understand a bit more about me and why I am the way I am and why sometimes I react the way that I do. So, bipolar disorder. I'm going to start off telling you all about bipolar disorder, what it's like, the highs, the lows, the symptoms that you can expect to see. Although not everyone will have all, well, no one will have all of the symptoms, but just gives you a general idea. There is more information available online. The Mind website is brilliant resource for anything like this, and there's also a website donated just to bipolar disorder. Pardon me. So firstly, I'm just going to tell you about the symptoms, what you can expect to see. And then I'm going to tell you about my experiences and the things that I've been through. And then I'm going to tell you a bit more about how people can get help if need be. So, starting off, bipolar disorder, I've got lots of notes here because I really wanted to get a lot of information in. So bipolar disorder started off being called manic depression, because that's what it is. You suffer from mania and depression, but they renamed it to bipolar disorder because they are the polar opposites of each other. So there's lots of experiences that you have with them, and a lot of symptoms and a lot of ways that you behave. So I'm going to try and not read them because I live them. So I don't really need to read them that much. But the main one that I find when I'm in a manic mood is that I feel out of control. There's no consequences to anything in life. You can do whatever you want. It's sort of like if you're in a car and a normal person, if they had the foot on the accelerator and they were heading towards the wall, they would think, oh no, I'm going to hit a wall, and they would put the brake on. Someone that's manic will put their foot on the accelerator and say, yay, let's see what happens. It's just like living your life in fast forward. So you become really impatient and irritable with the people around you because nothing in the world is travelling at the speed that you want it to. You're also very restless. You go from like one thought to another very quick. Like I could have solved the whole world's problems in my last manic phase. Can't remember much of them, but I could have done. You also take risks that you wouldn't normally take, as I say, like if you're in the car, putting your foot on the accelerator, things like gambling, behaving in ways that you wouldn't do normally, like people have unprotected sex with strangers, they do just anything that you wouldn't normally think of doing, and you don't sleep much because you don't feel like you need to, because when you're lying down and you're trying to sleep, your brain's still going and you come up with these great ideas. So you can't sleep because you've got to keep up with what's going on in your brain. And then the fact that you're not sleeping makes the manic episode get more and more and more intense. So sleeping, when it comes to treatment of bipolar, sleeping and trying to keep regular sleeping hours is a really big what would you call it, like a really big tool in trying to avoid going manic again. You wear things that you wouldn't normally wear, like have tops that reveal a lot when you wouldn't normally, or really short skirts, or bright colours if you normally only wear black. So that's a trigger on your appearance. And if you don't normally wear makeup and you wear makeup, it's just sort of a change in your personality that you become magnified tenfold. Like you've got all the self-confidence in the world. You find it hard to stay still. Your thoughts are so jumbled. Talking to other people is a real challenge because they can't keep up with you. So you're talking really fast. And sometimes your words don't quite form. So your sentences don't make any sense at all. That's doing me head in. Your sentences don't make any sense at all because quite often you can't get the full word out before the next word is formed in your brain. So you end up merging like two words together and say them like at the same time. So it's indistinguishable to anyone that isn't in your brain. A lot of people misuse things like alcohol and drugs because again, there's no consequences. Taking risks with your safety, things like if you're out and there's a car driving up the road crossing when you normally wouldn't cross, anything like that, jumping off cliffs. People have done stuff like that into water, which normally you probably wouldn't do, but you're manic, so you're indestructible, so it doesn't matter. You can do whatever. And a lot of money spent, a lot of people spend money excessively and inappropriately, so doing things like gambling. There's a famous, I think she's a physicist or something, or psychologist, that's it, that wrote a book about bipolar, and she, when she was manic once, decided that the world was going to run out of snake bite kits. So she bought hundreds and hundreds of boxes of anti-venom for snakes, and she lived in a state where there were no snakes. So you buy things that you wouldn't normally think of, and that you have no need for. So that is the mania side of it. It really is just like you're high on drugs all the time, and you're just so disconnected from the world, and you're so alone, but you don't really feel alone because you feel like you're better than other people because no one else can keep up with you, which means that you're special. Like, you can do something that no one else can. You can save the world. You're like a superhero. You know, it's just the mania. So then eventually you hit a stage where your body just can't keep up with that anymore. And then you go into the depths of despair. Now, your depression doesn't have to follow a state of mania. And some people suffer with more mania than depression. Some people vice versa. Some people do rapid cycling, where for 10 minutes they can be absolutely high as anything. And then for an hour they'll go in the depths and then they'll be high as anything again. There's lots of different variants of how the disease can, it's not a disease, how the illness can manifest in different people. So normally when you have had a thing of intense mania, you will hit the depression, because imagine you've had the greatest like trip of your life. Everything has been amazing. And then all of a sudden it all hits you that none of it has been real. It's like to go have a dream that you're in Disneyland and everything that you've wanted was there. There's no one else there. There's no queuing for rides. There's no queuing to see characters. It's just a kiddie's playground delight. Everything that a kiddie could dream of. And then you're having a brilliant time, and then all of a sudden it just stops and it's all snatched away from you, and suddenly you're standing in the middle of a wasteland. And everything hits Earth at one point and you land with a bang, and you've got to try and pick yourself up from that. So you go from that extreme height to the lower. Now, I tend to have more depression than bipolar. So depression is, I always describe it as being like a Dementor from Harry Potter. Like when they come in the room and they suck all the joy and all of the life out of you. It's exactly like what depression does. Everything that you've enjoyed in the past, you don't find any enjoyment anymore. All you want to do is sleep. You don't want to be around other people, talk to other people, see other people. I mean, if I had my way when I'm depressed, I would have all the blinds and curtains in the house shut, wouldn't get dressed, wouldn't brush my teeth, wouldn't wash my hair, would just lie on the settee all day, blocking the world out. But unfortunately, if you give in to that and you do it a lot, you just keep going down and down and down. And I'll tell you more about that when I come to my experiences with it. You're irritable and impatient again with the people that are closest to you, because you just can't do anything. Like examples is like, you mean mum will say stuff to me like, hang your clothes up. It seems like such a tiny little thing, but when you're depressed, it's huge, and all you just want to do is cry, because even one tiny little thing, when you're in a really deep depressed state, even washing one teacup is a huge achievement to make. If you pick one thing a day and you manage to do it, then at least you've done something. And try and push yourself a little bit more each day. It's not easy, it's not, but it's worth it. So yeah, so sleeping time, as I say, not taking care of yourself, not brushing your teeth, your hair, showering, that sort of thing. You don't have any energy to do anything. You, as I say, isolate yourself from other people, and you don't want to do things that you normally love. Like sometimes it'll be like a case of a friend will phone and say, do you want to go to the cinema? And you'll say, oh no, I'm depressed, or I've had a bad day, or whatever. But then they'll say it's free tickets, and you say, oh yeah, I'll go. Or they'll say like the gig, if your favourite band are doing a gig, and even though you're feeling low, but you had low mood before, you were tired, you'll say, oh yeah, I can't miss that, and you'll go. Someone with depression won't, and then they'll use it to torture themselves more. I should have gone. It probably would have been the best night ever. I didn't do it. Oh, no one will want to hang around with me. I'm just miserable. Or if you do go, you can't get out of your head when you're out, and like you're stuck in it all the time, and then you really are miserable, and then you bring everyone else's mood down, and that's no fun either. So you feel guilty that you're putting people that you love through this. You feel worthless. What's the point in still keeping going? All I do is bring people down. You just feel everything in life just feels hopeless. You just want to give up. you have trouble concentrating and remembering things. Things like reading books is something that I struggled with. A lot of people use drugs and alcohol because they do get that temporary high, but the problem with alcohol in particular is it's depressive. So it might give you a little high for like an hour or so, but then you're going to come down with a deeper bang when you do. So it doesn't really solve anything, but a lot of people still turn to it. A lot of people that either forget to eat and have no appetite, or they eat too much, and when they eat too much, it's normally unhealthy food. I go through not eating for long periods of time. I have to be reminded to eat because when my mood's low, I just forget. You can get physical aches and pains that there's no physical explanation for. It's just everything in your body seems to hurt, and it's more like it's a mental thing than what it is a physical thing. And unfortunately, it can end in being suicidal and attempting to take your own life. For anyone watching this, if someone that you know or yourself is starting to think or talk about how they would do it, then you need to get help urgently. Online, there's a lot of information, there's a lot of websites that you can get help. There's crisis teams. If you think someone is in imminent danger, you can get in touch with crisis. Just Google it for your local area, and you can get in touch with them, and they would come out and do an emergency assessment. There's also, you can ask the police to come and do a care, I think it's called a care observation order or something, and they will come out and check and see that the person is safe. It does get better. If you're watching this and you're suicidal, I promise you it does get better. Just listen to what I'm going to say now. So that's the things that bipolar is like. So I'm going to go back to my experiences. So my experiences. I went through in 2009 what for me was a pretty traumatic year. I'm not going to go into everything that happened, but everything just seemed to snowball, and I didn't know it at the time, but I was depressed. I don't know how it's not an easy thing to talk about, but I want to, because I want to help other people. What actually triggered me to attempt suicide was a comment that someone else made about me that I wasn't supposed to know about, but did. And the comment was about how miserable I was, basically. And that triggered something inside of us, and it got me thinking, and all of those things that had been upsetting me, that built up and built up and built up, that comment to me made sense of it. And I decided then and there that I was going to commit suicide. I planned it for 9 months. It wasn't, a lot of people think when you attempt suicide that it's you know, you've had an argument or something and you're using it as a weapon, or you're using it as a way of as a cry for help, or as a way of punishing others, some people seem to think. With me, it wasn't like that. I never thought about what it would be like if I didn't succeed. Didn't think about the impact on anyone else. But when I made that decision that I was going to end my life, I was happy. For the first time in a long time, I was happy, and it felt right. And I was excited in a weird way. But I wanted to be around at the time my niece was going to turn 16 in the August. And it was December the 12th, 2009 when I made the decision. So I wanted to be around to see her turn 16. So I ended up holding on a little bit longer because of things that were going on in my family. And on the 19th of September 2010, I attempted suicide. And it was, as I say, I planned it. I wrote letters to everyone that I loved, and also to people that I didn't. For example, the woman that made the comment, that sort of brought it all tumbling together. Because often in life, we're all going through our own life and we're all just so focused on what we're going through and what we're doing that we don't think how little comments can affect other people. For example, if you're walking down the street and you don't see that someone you know you've just walked past, to you it's nothing, or you don't stop to talk, you just say hello and you keep going. But if that person's in a deepest, darkest place and they start thinking, why didn't they stop and talk to me? Why didn't they notice I was there? Am I that worthless that no one will bother? And it all spirals and spirals and spirals. And even little defenceless comments, silly little comments, can be taken and not exactly twisted, but someone can take that and they can use it in a way that further deteriorates their mental health. So I think people need to be more aware about how their actions and their words can affect other people. There's actually a really good film. It's about bullying, but it sort of shows how little words and actions can have an impact on someone. And I think it's called Girl Like Her or Girl Like Me. So if you're interested in how your actions impact on others, I would definitely recommend watching that, because it's sort of a good example of what I'm saying, how people's actions impact on others. So I thought about how I was going to do it. My initial thought was to starve myself to death. But then I couldn't do that because I didn't want people to know what I was planning, and I started passing out. I got down to under 6 stone. So after that, I decided that I would take an overdose. I actually researched the best way to commit suicide and succeed. And I found out that women are more considerate than men, because women think about who finds their body, whereas men don't. And I discovered that more women take overdoses than any other suicide attempt, and they're more likely to fail because they tend to throw up what it is that they've taken. So I went as far as going to my doctor to make sure that I succeeded, in telling him that I was feeling nauseous, and I got anti-sickness tablets, which I took with the overdose that I took to make sure that I would succeed. So it wasn't a cry for help. I was determined to do it. As I say, didn't think about the impact that it would have on people around me, because I actually thought they would be better off without me there. I know now that's completely bollocks. But that's just the place that I was at that time. So I decided that I would attempt suicide at work in the toilets, because I didn't want my mum or dad finding my body. So I left my desk and I went to the bathroom, and at my desk I took 27 morphine tablets, and the anti-sickness tablets and some paracetamol, and went to the bathroom to wait for it to happen. And luckily a woman, I don't know who she was, there was multiple businesses in the building where I worked, and this woman came into the bathroom from another business, and somehow she knew what I was doing. I was crying, but I was doing it very quietly, I thought. And somehow she knew, and I told her that I didn't want help, but she'd phoned the police, and the police came, and I begged them to leave me in the toilet. I just wanted to die, and I proper begged, just leave me, just let me go, I've had it, I've had enough. So then it was the case of going with the police or being sectioned. So I went with the police, and this is a bit that I find the most annoying about the thing, that an ambulance came to collect me, and you would think like paramedics and stuff would be educated on mental health issues and everything. But a paramedic, when I got in the ambulance, they were talking to us and asking what I'd taken, and I wouldn't tell them at that point, because then they would know what to give us to counteract it. So I said that I just wanted to be left, and this paramedic said, but why do you want to die? You're so pretty. And I just looked at him and I couldn't believe that he'd said that, because it's indiscriminate. It doesn't matter how much money you've got, what you look like, where you come from, what your upbringing's been. It doesn't matter. If you're going to have a mental health issue, you're going to have a mental health issue. It's just like cancer. It hits anyone. And I found, for someone that was trained in health and dealing with the public in such a situation, I thought it was an absolute ridiculous thing for someone to come out with. And I was just flabbergasted, and I was thinking, you just don't know. You don't have a clue. And it's the same with a lot of people. A lot of people do think that the lower part of society, I guess you could say, are more inclined to have mental health issues than anyone else. That's not necessarily true. A lot of mental health issues are hereditary, or it can be caused by things that have gone on in your life, or it's not really to do with where you're brought up or how much money you have or anything. It's like cancer. If it once strikes you, it will strike you. So as I say, I attempted suicide. I got to hospital. One thing I'd never thought about was the impact that my attempted suicide would have on other people. So when I got to the hospital, I actually refused to see my mum, who they'd phoned and told what had happened. My mum didn't know if I was alive or dead, because they wouldn't tell her anything, because I'd said I didn't want to see her, because I knew my parents were going to be devastated. And I couldn't cope with that at that time. But I didn't realise the impact that that would have on my mum, that she didn't know if I was alive or dead. She just wanted her baby, and I'd left her. But eventually I saw my parents, and my dad broke down. My mum was a bit stronger, but the two of them just tore me apart. And that was the worst thing about it. The fact that I was there. I was there and I had to deal with that fallout I'd never expected to be. In films, 2 minutes. In films, you see someone attempting suicide, like they stop them from jumping off a bridge, or jumping in front of a train or whatever. And in films, you see them talk that person down, and it's like everything is going to be all right. You haven't done it. All that stuff's going to go away. That's not necessarily the case. If you have, if it's just been caused by situations in your life, like you've lost your job, you haven't told your partner that you've lost your job, that means that your relationship's suffering, you're worried about losing your house, all that sort of stuff, that's all tied together. That sort of stuff, once people know, you can get the appropriate help, and that can get better, and that can make your mood get better. When you've got a condition like bipolar disorder, it's not, you're never going to be normal. It's a battle that I have to fight every single day, and it's one that, thank goodness, I'm winning. But it never just magically goes away. I had an amazing family to support me, and I had a therapist called Donna, who was absolutely amazing, and a recovery and support worker called Sue, who I just couldn't have asked for any better than those two ladies. They were absolutely phenomenal. But it took a long time to get better. I actually didn't leave the house for 1.5 years. I lost my hair of medication that I was taking, hence the fact I'm going it super long. I'm going to donate it when it gets long enough, because I know what it's like to have no hair. So I'm going to donate it to the Princess Trust or something like that, to save a kid from feeling the way that I did when I had no hair. So you don't magically get better. I started off living for other people. I was living for my parents, my nieces and nephews, my dog. And eventually I noticed I wasn't living for them anymore. I was living for me. As I say, I didn't leave the house for a year and a half, which was something really difficult. And then I had to get used to going back out again, which is what my support worker helped me with. Social anxiety is something that I really struggle with. 2 seconds, I've got to shout my mum. I'll be 2 minutes! Sorry, my pizza's here. Social anxiety is something that I really struggle with, and something that I'm really self-conscious about. Because I didn't leave the house for that year and a half, and still it just, and I think it's also part of my condition. I struggle being around other people. I'm okay with 1 or 2 people that I know. But I get really nervous around a lot of people, which I know a lot of you that have been to my demos are going to think, but she's so confident. And I am when I'm talking about Crafters Companion products, or I'm representing Crafters Companion, because I'm so passionate about crafters, and I'm so passionate about sharing the information that I have with other people. But you'll know yourself, crafters we're like all the same. It doesn't matter your background or what you've done or what you do for a job. Nothing matters. When it comes to crafters, you've got that in common, and crafters will support you no matter what. So when I'm at a demo and stuff, I'm completely different than what I am. And if you see me out, if I was like in a supermarket and you saw us, I would probably put my head down and pretend that you weren't there, because I wouldn't know what to do. And after every social interaction, I question myself like several times. If I handled that right, did I do that wrong? And sometimes I can say something that offends someone. I know there's a girl at the store, and I hope she won't mind me saying this. There's a girl at our store, Newton Aycliffe, that every time I saw her, she was running off her feet, and I always used to say, God, you look knackered. And then she was like, oh, well, thanks, Susan. And I was like, oh, God, it's just, I didn't know what else to say. That was all I could think of to say, because my brain doesn't work like other people's. So I can end up saying stuff that can offend other people, and I'm really conscious of it. And that makes me really anxious about going out. As I say, at Craftigans, I'm fine. But even then, I do get concerned. And I did say to my friend this year, like, keep an eye on us. And if I say something that you think is inappropriate, just let us know. It's just, I get so uncomfortable around people. And too trusting as well. So the social anxiety and the not leaving the house sort of went hand in hand. It had an effect on my parents, particularly. They couldn't believe that their daughter had been so low and they hadn't noticed. But the truth is, I didn't even think I was depressed. I was planning to end my life, and I was the happiest I'd ever been. So how could they be expected to know? And it also, I was irritable with them. I wasn't me anymore. Not the me that they knew. So they had to deal with that. They felt like they'd lost their daughter, and a stranger was in the house instead. So I had the burden of that on my shoulders as well. But as I say, eventually I realised I wasn't living for other people anymore. I was living for me, and crafting was a big part of that. It was great therapy. And when I was crafting, I would talk about things that I'd been bottling up. So I started to do a lot better. I was doing classes. I started going out more and stuff. And then in 2013, my dad passed away. And I struggled a lot. And we tried everything to get help. and we kept phoning up saying I was suicidal, and there was just no help forthcoming. And I didn't want to die. I couldn't leave my mum alone. So I did some stupid and reckless stuff on a self-destruct mission just to try and get help. And it's probably one of the biggest regrets of my life. But I did it, and I've got to embrace that fact because it's part of who I am. It's something I've learned from. And everyone makes mistakes, and I think everyone deserves a second chance. And things aren't always as cut and dry as what you think they are initially. So after I self-destructed, mental health services got involved again, and I managed to get the help that I needed. And then we sort of get to today. So I battle every day. Every day it's like I'm fighting a fight. I don't know if I'll win the war, but I'm winning the battle each day, and that is something. I recently lost my baby boy, my dog Bobby, who was my best friend, and he got me. He was a big part of getting me through my attempt. So that's been really difficult, but I'm coping, and I'm still here. And I'll tell you something, that woman in my bathroom, I don't know who you are, but thank you so much, because I got to live all those extra years with my dad, those extra years with my dog and my mum, and I am so grateful for everything that I've experienced since. So thank you so much to that complete stranger that saved my life. And to anyone watching that's feeling low, you can bloody kick its ass. Like, I've been saying to people since, I'm stubborn and I hate to lose. This is one fight that I am goddamn certain that I am not going to lose. So if you're watching this now and you're struggling, or you know someone who is, you can, if they need someone to talk to, I'm always available to talk to people about my experiences and show them that there is another way. It does get better. As you can tell, it still hurts. But I'm alive, and I'm so glad I am. So if you're struggling to see, you can contact me through my website. There's Samaritans. Now, I'm saying all this information as if you are in the UK. If you are in another country, please either Google it to find out where the help is available for you, or you can get in touch with me and I'll find something out for you. So Samaritans, the number for them is 116 123. They are available 24 hours a day and every single day of the year. So no matter when you need help, they are always there. And if need be, they can get in touch with the recommended organisation to help you, or they could offer you advice on how you can go about doing that. It's one phone call. It's free, so you don't even have to worry about the phone bill. Just make that phone call. Once you've talked about it, it is so much easier to cope with. And another number is Mind. They also have a brilliant website that can offer you support too. But Mind's number is 0300 123 3393. And both of those organisations are brilliant. They will offer you help. They will offer you support. There's lots of other places out there. I know I used to volunteer at a mental health centre in Durham called St Margaret's Centre. And I used to also volunteer at Aspire, which helps women further their confidence and learn. That's one's based in Chesley Street in County Durham. There's places like that everywhere. Even if it just gets you out of the house for 1 hour and gets you to meet new people, it helps, and it is the key. So please, if you're watching this and you are feeling that you're in the depths, You can survive. I promise you that you can survive, but you've got to bloody fight, and it's worth every single second. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that you have found it informative, and I hope that it helps someone, even if it's not helped someone from committing suicide, even if it's just helping you to understand someone that's in that situation. It's a horrible, horrible thing to have, but it's a horrible, horrible thing to have to watch the impact that it does on your family. So please talk to people. Try and stop anyone from getting to that desperate situation that I did. Thank you very much. Goodbye.